hey everyone, my name is Marty Schmidt, and I have been interested in how our current pandemic has been playing out in our community. And so, what I've decided to do is create some conversations with different community people. And today, I am sitting with our mayor, Tom Lazio. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for asking, Marty.
Yeah, and it's been well stated, I think, by every media outlet. We are living in unprecedented times.
Amen.
How have your family been making changes, personally? How have you guys had to dance something different than what you've ever had to dance before?
Yeah. Well, we've been paying attention to all the recommendations from the CDC, obviously, and my wife has a good medical background, and so we've been paying attention to washing hands, social distancing, taking temperatures, just paying attention to the signs. And so far, we've been very fortunate. So just monitoring things and being prepared. I think that's the key word, being prepared.
Yeah, I got 4 munchkins at home, and they get all kinds of different stories, and we're trying to continue to say, let's do what we know we can do, and help them kind of see, like, this is just good practice anyways.
It's kind of things your mother's taught you when you were little. Wash your hands, cover your mouth when you cough, sneeze into your sleeve, don't touch everything, and certainly don't put your hands on your face and your mouth, and watch what you're touching on counters and doorknobs. Very common, very practical things.
Yeah. So what's interesting to me is this virus is hitting different parts of our country in different volumes, right? And so you've got the federal government kind of creating recommendations, and you mentioned the CDC, but then you've got the state government that they're not making recommendations, they're regulating, this is what you can and can't do. Right. And I find it interesting because our state is not as densely populated everywhere.
Which is to our advantage right now.
For sure. But so how does the city have to dance, what maybe is coming from Washington versus what comes from, how do you get your information where this is what the city has to do?
Okay, so really we do follow the CDC guidelines, and those are federal guidelines that are then sent to the states. Our responsibility is really, as a state and city municipality, is to the governor. And so whenever Governor Reynolds has a press conference, or if she issues any kind of written directive, which she did on Tuesday morning, I think I shared with you offline that we had just had a staff meeting and talked about all the things we could do in terms of limiting travel and more remote go-to-meeting kind of conferences, and remoting in from at home and in terms of your work schedule. But we just finished our staff meeting at 10 o'clock, and at 10:15 we get this email saying she's making this a directive and an order to the local governments. So we didn't have any choice in the matter. We had to follow the governor's recommendations. So our take then is the state of Iowa, and in that we have the Iowa Department of Public Health. And so she worked very closely with our doctor there to give us guidelines, and so far we've been able to escape a lot of the things. There's no mandatory lockdown, there's no isolation, but a lot of common sense. Again, be prepared, be proactive. So
I think it's an interesting dance too, because like you said, at 9 o'clock you go in with one set of ideas, and by 10:15 everyone's kind of getting used to that, which means that information is changing quickly. What's the city's primary ways of helping people know this is all you really have? Because obviously some will take it super far, and other people's immune systems are more susceptible, so their caution should be one way. So how does the city say, here's what we need you citizens to be aware of? How does that get communicated?
Well, 2 different ways, actually. We are part of Wapello County Emergency Management System, and Tim Richmond is our coordinator for that. And so he is in constant contact with the Homeland Security in Des Moines, with the Iowa Department of Public Health. So he and his team, and there is a group of people who make up the emergency management team, if they get some new information, they will blast that out to us as a city, and we're on their alert system. Citizens can get on that too. There is a 800 number to get on the alert push out. And so Tim would contact us. Certainly, if there's something that comes down from the governor's office or the Iowa Department of Health, we'll pay attention to that at the city level. And then we'll put it on our website, and Katie King does a great job, I think, with our Facebook page, and that's the most current information. And then if there's something special like last night, we did do a community meeting, and we had the Waffle County Board of Supervisors, Jerry Parker, we had the sheriff, Don Phillips, we had Chief of Police Tom McAndrew, we had Phil Noel from the hospital, we had Linnell Deere from Public Health, we had River Hills Health Program. We had a number of local people who were all saying much the same thing, because we want people to get a consistent
the clear message, right?
and a clear message.
So you guys sat down together, and
Yes.
where that was on?
That was on the GoTV channel.
on the GoTV. And do you plan on doing another one of those?
Yes, we do. We're
Yeah,
gonna try
that's
to
great.
set up a regular time, and that would be the official
Best.
source of information that we can give
Okay.
you on a weekly basis. Now, if something comes up, if we have a crisis situation, then our emergency management office takes over, and either the sheriff or the police chief will be in charge of that command center, and they will then spread the information out from the most recent announcements from the state.
Yeah. As I kind of survey, I'm sure this has hit some city employees in different ways.
Certainly does.
There's a number of city employees that they're completely operational. There's probably others that it's a little bit more restricted, or just the community is their need for certain city employees is probably diminished because there's a little bit more of a holding
and Marty, a
pattern.
good example, we were talking about this at the staff meeting. We have a couple of departments that only have one or two people, and if one of them were to be identified or had the virus, that might shut down, for example, a payroll department, which the whole city depends on, or paying bills. Now you take the public works department, and I think we did have a great posting on the Facebook page the other day that with this crisis, people are using these commercial wipes and paper towels, and they're flushing them down the toilet, and it's plugging up some of our sewers.
Okay.
And so then we get backups, and our staff still have to physically go out and unplug those, because it just kind of, they call it a sewer plug. It just rolls and becomes a tight ball, and it
Right,
actually
and then they gotta
chokes
go.
off the pipe.
Yeah. I think probably the most apparent to our city, though, is the school district, right? That is.
And the school was represented last night. Nicole Quaker, the superintendent, was not able to be there last night, but she did give a written statement to Tim to read on the meeting that we did televise, and she's going to be a part of this team.
Yeah. And so I heard part-time employees of the school district are getting 3 weeks, and I just think I don't know if you're seeing it. I think I am. There's a little panic, but there's a lot more generosity. There's a lot more kindness. I'm seeing more people having empathy. You get jokes, and I think it's good to laugh. I think you got to be
Humor,
appropriate, right? I've even learned that I can say this joke with this person, and this person, maybe that's not a good idea.
That's right.
But so that's kind of from a city standpoint. I know you had a conversation with some people at JBS. I know they're one of the larger.
Well, and exactly, because we'd heard rumors, and there are a lot of things on Facebook, on some of the individual posts that said there'd been a confirmed case. So I talked with Joe Mock, the general manager, and their HR department, Zena Boyd, and they were very clear. There's been nothing, and they are taking extraordinary precaution. I mean, everybody's being scanned when they come in with a temperature.
So that's just in the standard protocol
They are
at
now.
JBS
Yep.
now. They're doing the temperature.
They're doing a lot, and they're limiting. There's nobody coming into the plant that's not an employee there. They're also doing a different kind of cleaning schedule to be sure that everything is deep cleaned, and they have actually hired some of their own staff and outside agencies to come in and do more cleaning than what they normally do. So they're being very responsible, and I think Joe has been very good to say to us that if anything comes up, that they have something detected, they will share that directly with the city, and we told them the same thing. If we have any information that becomes available, we'll share it with them.
Yeah.
We want to keep it constant, because there are 2,200 people working down there.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I want to just sit down with different individuals like yourself, just to kind of, that's really helpful to go, oh, okay, so that could be something another organization might even be able to go,
That's
that
right.
seems like a good idea. We can follow through with that. I know.
And I talked with the plant manager at John Deere, and they're operating as much as they can. Normally, some of their engineers can work from home remotely because they can, internet in and that type of thing. But not everybody in the community has internet,
No.
so it is a problem in that sense. And that's why we thought the combination of GoTV, and if there is anything, we'll call a press conference if there's something that needs to be blasted out immediately.
Yeah, yeah, and the technology. I mean, even allowing us to sit down and have this. I know that's another thing I'm excited about these conversations and hearing more. Next week, I'm going to be talking with the president of Indian Hills and going to just have another one of these kind of conversations
Certainly.
to find out how does that work for the airplane mechanics online versus a nursing student, and so I'm just really curious about all of that. So, are there any other things between now and Monday that the city plans on communicating? Is there?
Well, we don't have anything scheduled, let me just say that, but we've also, as I was joking earlier, I do have the chief of police on my speed dial and a phone emergency. If something were to come up that became a really immediate, if we had let's say we had a tornado sighted inside of the city limits, we would take appropriate and use the alarm system and make the media outlets aware of that. And get people forewarned. That's the best thing we do. Give them as much time for preparation and lead time. But we have nothing scheduled at this point. Now, next week we'll have our staff meeting again on Tuesday morning. If something comes up over the weekend, we'll check that out. And certainly Phil Rath, our new city administrator, is doing a great job. He's gotten a lot of city staff input. He's being very flexible with people because we do have some people who are going to have younger children, and so daycare is becoming an issue.
Yeah, that's
Childcare,
Yep.
and I know even if you have an elderly parent, the issue of getting out to the grocery store or getting meals in.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. What we've done in our organization is and I think we're just going to put the number at the end of this. There's an email address and a phone number if you're someone who is in need of maybe an errand being run. Maybe there's a grocery item that you're short. We want to do our best. The childcare one is beyond our means right now. I think we're kind of networking along that way, but we would love to be able to extend that opportunity to our community. If there's some way we can make an errand or run, we've got a designated team that'd be willing to do that for you. And Mayor, I'm grateful for this chance, and I hope we can do it again.
You
yeah,
bet.
And I think you're right. If you heard, Facebook and the city's website are the best ways to get the information that apply to our community. And
I think when I talked with Tim Richmond last night, we're going to try to do a midweek regular post from the emergency management office because it is set up now. I mean, it is open, and like I said, we're using emergency staff from Wapello County. We're using the sheriff's office, the police department, public health nursing, the hospital, infection control, and the Iowa Department of Public Health. So they have a good handle on what's going on.
Yeah, that's a lot of a web of what I think.
And still keeping it under 10.
That's the challenge. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for a conversation.